Good morning. Welcome to the beta version of DamNation, a podcast dedicated to people, men, women, teenagers, kids, if they're on the internet, who have been scammed. Sponsored by Passionate World Talk Radio Network to educate, to enlighten, to entertain. Recently, host Lillian Cauldwell, with her podcast, Lest We Forget Historical, has been doing a mini-series on scams. And she started out on Lest We Forget Historical with political scams, with candidates and previous presidents, members of the Congress and Senate, who have delivered scam information, false information, misleading information, or creative made-up information to the American public. And not only have they done that, but they have reinterpreted the law to allow them to do these scams to the U.S. citizens because A, they believe they're above the law, B, that they are morally corrupt. They may be also financially corrupt, but that's another story. Morally corrupt. They behave in a manner that a normal, average citizen of this country cannot do. And thirdly, many of them get away with it because people do not call and inform the authorities to warn them that these people are scamming the public. How nice for them. Unfortunately, the normal everyday citizen within the United States or foreign countries do not have that extra white space to retreat into and claim the fifth, saying they're not saying anything or they can't be held accountable nor responsible for their actions. Why this program? Because I am a victim of being scammed twice, especially in the romance department. And you're saying, really? You're pretty streetwise. What happened? Well, the point of the matter is it happened. One was from a virtually unknown guy who we struck up a great conversation, and another one who claimed he was a certain actor, actress, and they wanted to talk to me. Well, let me tell you something. If you read the Microsoft news programs or The Edge or even Firefox or any other internet newspaper online, they talk about scams all the time. And not only do they talk about scams, but they talk about companies who are being used as a way to scam you as well, even though they are not the real company. So how does one protect themselves? I'm hoping through this journey of beta podcast programs, we can explore that. And of course, the call to action, I'm sure people are already nodding, but the call to action is if you've been scammed, whether mentally, socially, romantically, politically, or any other way, text me at 484-364-1032 and come out of the closet, because scamming will not stop until one stands up on their hind legs. After all, we are human animals. And say, I've been scammed and I am not going to take it anymore. Thank you, Clint Eastwood. Because if you do not speak up and out against it, it will continue. And let's face it, folks, it's $1 trillion business. And those scammers are now using artificial intelligence, like the rest of us, to make their scams even more plausible. And for those famous people, whether they're sports figures or they're involved with the Olympics or they're celebrities or political figures, AI has now made it possible for your voice to show up on a software program, and some nice peon like me can take your voice and use it in any capacity that they want and help them promote their company or their nefarious affairs. Something famous people you should be aware of, because you may show up in an audio somewhere for some kind of pornography or white slavery. Something for you people to consider and find out from your lawyer or who's ever representing you, your agent, of how to protect yourself from the nefarious uses of AI. So, this is your host, Lillian Cauldwell, and I put together the podcast because even though there's information every day talking about scams, even the most sophisticated and knowledgeable person of internet can still get scammed. Case in point, my former husband, before he died, was taken in by a scam from people in India who would knowingly mess up your computer and then, like the cavalry, show up and offer to help you clean it up. And for X amount of money, you can get your computer back. And this guy who knew computers from the 1970s and onward that he used in his teaching position fell for the scam. And it wasn't until 3 or 4 months later that he finally realized that he was paying hostage money to keep his computer free. So he finally did what he should have done and break off all contact with the scammers, took his computer in to the Geek Squad over at Best Buy, and they cleaned it up and out and fixed it for him. That's the other thing one should be aware of. If you've been scammed or after you've been scammed, take your computer, laptop, tablet, cell phone, whatever electronic device you're using, take it in and get it cleaned out and optimized, because these people are playing for keeps and they put malicious software inside your computer. Who knows it better than they? They're experts at it. And they'll be able to take additional information and harm you. Another question that comes in, can you establish a record with your local police? Oh, absolutely. Or the FBI or Interpol or whoever who is turning you in, or you're turning yourself in saying, I've been scammed. I've been scammed is more or less the same equivalent to saying I've been raped, I've been molested, I've been abused, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, I'm gay. Folks, it's time to come out of that closet and into the light and into the fresh air of normality, because the only person who can stop yourself from doing these things is you. Hello, does that mean you have a problem? Yes. Is it akin to gambling or eating or overworking or overachieving? Well, yes and no. It's psychological. And that's how the scammers get you. Psychology. It's a wonderful thing. And it can control you. Otherwise, the enemy wouldn't use truth serum. They wouldn't use propaganda. They wouldn't use brainwashing. The military brainwashes their soldiers. They bring them in, break their mind down, and then fill it up with what they need to know in order to survive on a battlefield and how to obey orders without question. Ever listen to the Nuremberg trials? Watch it. Listen to what the Germans and the Italians in those political and military positions have to say. I had to do it. It's orders. Well, let me tell you something. Being scammed is not something you have to go through repeatedly. Unfortunately for me, I was taken in twice. I was duped. Is it a good experience? No, because the people who are out there and love you, who want to protect you, and depending on what age you are, can have some very serious ramifications. Now, during the course of the next episode, I'm going to introduce to you prevention and people you can contact and places with your URLs. So make sure you write them down. Now, each state has a scam unit set up. In fact, there have been several books written on the subject. And of course, like I say, if you're on the internet, there are daily articles about the different scams that are being perpetuated on some of the most sophisticated people that I know, women. Women seem to be their ideal targets for various and sundry reasons that we will explore and go into. So if you have a scam story to tell, don't be ashamed. Own it. Deal with it. Get over it. But keep it always fresh and around you to remind you what can happen if you don't have your keys out and you're not walking with purpose. The first time I went to New York City by myself, I was 9 years old. My father took me by train into the subway system of Jamaica, which is halfway between Long Island and New York City, and purposely got me lost and said, now find your way home. And I eventually did. It took me a couple of hours, but I did get home. And it taught me that you have to keep not only your outer eyes alert and aware, but your inner eyes as well. And of course, in those days, it was kinder and gentler. I wouldn't let a 9-year-old loose at Jamaica again in 2024 because I probably would never see that child again. But back during the 1950s, you could do that sort of thing. It was the same philosophy my father had with swimming. You throw you out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean at Jones Beach and watch you swim in with the waves. I wouldn't do that again, what with the undertows. However, I digress. So join me every Wednesday at 3 p.m. when host Lillian Cauldwell, that's me, does an episode on Scam DamNation, talking about being scammed, what to look out for, how to report yourself in, and remember, there are things you can do to stop the madness. And if you've been scammed on any level, text me 484-364-1032, name, email, phone number, good time to call, let's discuss, and I'll get you onto the program. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. And remember, Scam DamNation. You can make a difference. Get out of the closet and take a good look around.